I enjoyed looking at those werewolves. I liked them. They looked bad, but I liked them.
They looked like some cross between like a baboon and a bear.
Hello, welcome to Guide to the Unknown. I'm Kristen.
And I'm her little brother, William.
And this week we are talking about the movie Cursed from Wes Craven, which came out in 2005, starring Christina Ricci, Jesse Eisenberg, other folks, and boy, what a mess.
Aptly titled.
Wow, Will. Looking
Cursed.
like the cat who ate the canary, delivering that line.
Why, Kristen, you bring out the beast in me. A werewolf movie,
Yes.
Kristen, a werewolf movie.
Yes.
But not only a werewolf movie, you said it's directed by Wes Craven.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. It's also written by Kevin Williamson.
Right, the dream team of Scream Team.
It's also, the score is by Marco Beltrami. It's edited by Patrick Lussier. This is the Scream team.
Yeah.
This is Scream 1, 2, and 3 team. Came out in 2005. It's 5 years removed from Scream 3. Is it a reunion of sorts? Oh boy.
Kind of, yeah.
It's like the Harlem Globetrotters are like, now we're going to play baseball. You know, it's like, it's just as successful.
Yeah, absolutely. Will, what is your history with the movie Cursed?
Just about nothing, Kristen.
Yeah.
Just about nothing. You'd think that my Scream obsession might have translated into me being interested, knowing everyone behind the scenes are the people who created 3 of the movies that have had the most impact on me
Right.
as a young man. And yet I remember this thing. I remember the commercials on TV.
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing the trailer in theaters, and I did not go see it. I don't think it's incredibly possible that this was my first time ever seeing it.
Yeah.
What is your history?
Really, exactly the same. I don't think I'd ever seen it before. No, I've never seen it before this. I think I had known enough about it that I kind of thought that I had seen it before. But when I was actually watching it, I was like, I think this is new.
What made you think of this? This was your suggestion to watch.
I don't know. I think that it came up maybe while we were talking about Urban Legend. Maybe.
I mean,
I don't know if it was during the episode or after it or whatever. But William, I'm not sure.
It's definitely part of that. I mean, it's literally post Scream, but there are a handful of things that it does that are deliberately, I think, evoking qualities of Scream. You know, it's meta.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it being a Kevin Williamson movie, like, I wonder if some of these things hang the reputation of that sort of team behind it. I might be grasping at straws a little bit, but it's like, it is a werewolf movie that takes place we're going to start spoiler free, by the way, as we always do with movies, but it's a werewolf movie that takes place in then contemporary LA, 2005 LA. All the characters talk about wolves a lot.
Yes. People
wear like a wolf costume. You know what I mean? Like, it's like they go to a party and everyone's dressed like animals.
Yeah, I later found out that was a PETA party. Like the animal rights group. I didn't understand that watching the movie.
I don't know. Do they have PETA chips?
I should hope so.
God, I hope so.
Yeah.
But like in Christina Ricci's kitchen, she has a cuckoo clock. And the cuckoo of the cuckoo clock is not the bird. It's a werewolf that pops out and tries to grab onto a little wooden
Red Riding Hood. Yeah, they're living a wolf-centric lifestyle already.
Just like how in Scream, they're living a horror-centric lifestyle where everyone knows about horror cliches. Well, they're sort of applying that logic here, which makes a certain amount of sense, but is, pointless.
Right. It is hard to say how much of Kevin Williamson's script is actually in the movie that we watch, because famously this went through like a million rewrites and reshoots. It's really like an amalgamation of a bunch of different scripts and movies.
Yes.
But that is certainly a through line. That is probably his.
Yeah, a little bit. I can speak to a little bit of his original concept even. But yeah, some of the scuttlebutt, the sort of like meta scuttlebutt about the movie is that the movie that we got is actually the fourth reshoot. There are 3 other cursed movies essentially sitting on a shelf somewhere that are all different from each other.
I think there are 3 total that are different from each other.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
But the movie that they initially set out to make, they filmed reportedly about 90% of, and is completely different to the movie that we now have.
Right. There's a different cast. It's a whole thing.
They fully rewrote and reshot the movie 90% of the way through.
Yeah.
And there are times when it took so many years that eventually Wes Craven... There are bits and pieces of this movie that are not directed by Wes Craven at all. Mm-hmm. This part is confusing to me because I so admire Kevin Williamson. Mm-hmm. There are aspects of this movie, I know that he left by reshoot 4, but he's still the sole credited screenwriter.
Right.
What is this?
So they brought in, I don't have their names, but they had 2 other writers.
Aaron Kruger?
No, it was not Aaron Kruger.
That's the guy they always brought in on Scream to patch up.
Yeah. No, the Weinsteins brought in 2 other writers for doing the rewrites. I'm not sure who they are.
Yeah.
It's on the Wikipedia, which is linked in our show notes.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, but at the end of the day, the movie that went out is a Wes Craven featured
Williamson movie, but it's like not really.
Yeah, it's not at all.
They just said that because it makes it look good because Scream was a hit.
Exactly. But this is like a Frankenstein movie. Mm-hmm. It is a mess.
Yeah.
And that is why they also reportedly referred to the movie as literally being cursed while they were making it. Because they're like, I don't know what this is at this point.
Yeah.
This movie has completely gotten away from us. Wes Craven ended up being very vocal about the Weinsteins meddling with it and tampering with it and stealing it from him. And
yeah.
Ooh, it is... And then let alone the fact that like we end up with a story that we should talk about as well. But like I'm fascinated by the calamity.
It's absolutely nuts. There's a little bit more behind the scenes stuff. Let's go to a commercial and then talk about like what they did to Wes Craven to make him do this movie.
Yes.
All right. Commercial here.
Commercial conclude.
I was going to say commercial done. Very good. So yeah, so Wes Craven was about to start shooting another movie called Pulse. That was basically like remaking a Japanese movie,
which is reportedly great.
Yes.
I've never seen the original Pulse.
No, neither have I. It's about ghosts using the internet to haunt us, and it's a remake of a Japanese movie called Cairo. And he had written the script for that with Vince Gilligan. Like from the X-Files.
With Vince Gilligan?
Yes. So like
Breaking Bad Vince Gilligan?
And X-Files Vince Gilligan? Yes. So he was like all invested in this. Like he was not just a director for hire. He had written this at the time, the guy who wrote the X-Files. Like this was a whole thing. But the Weinsteins really wanted to do Curse. They were like fast tracking it, and they were like, wait, actually having like a more traditional, very teen based scary movie with Wes Craven, who did so well with all the screams, would be much better. So they asked him to move over to directing that instead, and he said, no, I don't want to do that. I'm like very in on this movie that I literally wrote. And so they canceled Pulse to force his hand. These assholes.
Yeah.
They are the worst.
The Weinsteins. Mm-hmm. And I just want to say this. That's Wes Craven arguably at the top of his game.
Yeah.
Who can be manipulated and shunted aside and, you know, have your work thrown away and twisted beneath you. Mm-hmm. That's Wes Craven in the early 2000s.
Right. So if they can do that to him, imagine what they're doing to people much further down the line.
What chance does anyone have?
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are bad guys. So then he finally agreed to Curse because it's like, all right, I guess. And they eventually did end up still making Pulse with the screenplay partially written by Craven, but directing was moved over to somebody named Jim Sanzero.
Now that I did
Dirty
see.
Business.
That's why I call it La La Weird.
That's right.
It's a shame. It's awful. Now listen, it's not the worst thing the Weinsteins have done.
No. But it's obnoxious as shit, and it to me is at least just an indication of like,
Yeah, this is like this is an entire business founded on subjective opinions, and it can get real scuzzy real fast. And like you can just sign on to something and then all of a sudden have it ripped away, changed, whatever.
Right.
And the shocking thing to me is like, even if you're Wes Craven after Scream, like who cares? Who cares about you? You're going to make what we want you to make. We want you to make werewolf movie.
Yeah.
So what I read was that at least they offered to pay him double.
Yes.
But how far does double go when you now are shooting this movie 4 times? He ended up getting paid double and shooting 3 to 4 movies. Yeah. So he ended up getting paid potentially half of ultimately what he should have made for this amount of work.
He said it took 2.5 years to shoot altogether and that he could have made multiple movies in that time. So the amount that they paid him ended up not being worth it anyway.
Well, it gives me hives.
It's crazy. And all these reshoots and everything caused the budget to be $100 million. Especially when you see the movie, it's like, this was $100 million.
Oh, it looks bad.
They initially had this prop guy named Rick Baker, who's like extremely famous in the horror world, and they fired him because they didn't like what he was doing, which now in hindsight, because Rick Baker is like a legend, is like, what?
Yeah.
They just made like the worst decisions. And I actually realized I do have the names of the writers who they hired. They had Sean Hood and Tony Gayton do rewrites.
Okay.
And the original plot was that a New York-based serial killer discovers he's a werewolf. That's what Kevin Williamson's movie was going to be.
I read part of his script. You can find it online. You can find it's not maybe the original version of Curse that Kevin Williamson wrote, but it is vastly different from what we got here, and it opens in a very Kevin Williamson-y way. So this isn't a spoiler for the current movie, the final movie, but it is the opening scene I'm about to compare it to, at least. Watching the finished movie, I was like, okay, so Kevin Williamson, Wes Craven, werewolf movie. Well, it's going to open with some form of opening kill.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it just seems sensible to me.
Yeah.
Like, I guess I brought some personal biases to it where I'm like, it literally is the team that made Scream now making a werewolf movie. And I might find that less compelling, but like there are things you could do in a supernatural story that you can't do in Scream. So maybe they get to exercise some muscle over here that they have not been able to use.
And did you also have the bias of knowing that a werewolf gives the finger at some point in this movie? Did you know that going in?
You know, I saw it and I was like, oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Someone in a wolf costume. Oh, but it's the werewolf.
It is a transformed werewolf in the movie, gives the finger.
They flip off the main characters for making fun of their hair. They make fun of the werewolf's hair.
Well, no, they make fun of their human appearance.
Well, yeah, but
yeah, it's like,
I'm trying not to give away.
I have the line.
Yeah, that's an end of the movie thing. But the opening of the movie is like, okay, I see these 2 women that are at like on the pier. Yeah. I don't know, Santa Monica Pier, I don't know.
Yeah.
And okay, well, they're going to get stalked and eaten by a werewolf now. No, that's not what happens. No. The most simple thing imaginable is not what happens. They end up going to a psychic played by Portia de Rossi.
Right, and one of them is Maya. I was like, I didn't remember that Maya's in this movie.
And the other one, it took me a half hour to realize, is Shannon Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Who did not, I didn't realize that was her at all. And the psychic says to them, like, they're like, Maya is like, psychic, I need you to tell Shannon Elizabeth that this guy she's crushing on is never going to fall for her, so she needs to move on. But what the psychic does is she like grabs their hands like, oh my God, I'm having a genuine vision. You've got blood on your hands. Trouble is coming in the future.
Yeah.
And then she says to Shannon Elizabeth, beware the moon. It feeds in the moonlight. Shannon Elizabeth's line in the final movie is, you can't tell people this shit. Lay off the crack pipe.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, what?
Cool stuff.
Why? And then they just walk away. And then the movie, and then their part is done. That's the cold open.
Yeah.
That was it. And they're not the main characters, and they don't, what? What's going on? Like from minute 1, this doesn't make any structural sense to me. Here's the Kevin Williamson original movie cold open. Granted, it has an entirely different structure, but I liked this. The first line of his movie is, do you believe in werewolves? There's a woman, I believe it's essentially the Christina Ricci character, is at the costume party. talking to a guy who's in a wolf suit, and they're having like a hot and heavy kind of conversation. I'm not going to pretend it's perfect, but they're having this like they're like heavy flirtatious, almost like we're like so into each other kind of conversation. He's like, here's what I would do, little red. He doesn't say that. I'm making that up.
Yeah.
But he's like, she's like, what would you do to me, Mr. Wolf? Or something. And he's like, I'd follow you. And I'd stalk you. And she's like, oh, really? Whatever. And then he goes, and then I would rip you to shreds, spill out your insides so that I could eat them. And then the script essentially pauses to go like, she's no longer having fun.
Yeah.
This is no longer like in the realm of playing.
That's good.
And like, I think that's already interesting. Like, he's in a silly wolf costume, so we're already getting this tone. But it gets into more of that, like, it's very Kevin Williamsy.
Yeah, totally.
It's very huntery. I always think about Kevin Williamson's writing. A lot of his Scream stuff to me is about hunters, more so than just like slashers or whatever. It's like they're manipulating. They're really trying to be like 5 steps ahead
with the person who they're pursuing.
Absolutely. And I instantly was getting that vibe, and I was instantly into his screenplay.
Yeah.
And it made sense to me that it started that way.
Yeah.
And then what he has said, he was on a podcast called Shockwaves, I think. And he said that his original concept was essentially that the Christina Ricci character already had this like werewolf gene, was already like a lycanthrope or whatever. She gets attacked by a killer who then gets infected by her in the attack. She survives it, but she either scratches him or bites him to get away. And now he's becoming a wolf and doesn't know what's happening to him, except it's heightening his abilities to kill and his want to kill, his energy about killing.
That's pretty good.
Boom. Like all of that sounds great to me. And then the movie that we got, I'm going to give the spoiler-free premise. We get Christina Ricci and Jesse Eisenberg are siblings, orphaned siblings, living in LA. He's still in high school doing high school stuff and getting bullied and getting called gay all the time because it's 2005 by Milo Ventimiglia of Heroes. And Christina Ricci is a producer on The Late Late Show with Craig Kilborn.
Okay.
Who is in the movie playing himself. There's a Craig Kilborn cameo.
This was shocking to me that we have both Craig Kilborn and Scott Baio playing themselves. I'm sorry, that should probably be behind spoilers. But I was like, what? Because
I think you need to know this, everybody.
Yeah, I guess it's true. It's kind of a trigger warning, actually.
Yeah, you're going to be shocked.
Yes, Scott Baio is in the credits.
Yeah.
And then for it to turn out that it's Scott Baio playing Scott Baio, I was like, whoa.
And Scott Baio as Scott Baio. Yeah. There's some reference online to the fact that he might have been a werewolf by the end of this movie.
It seems like something was going on.
I think because they shot so many versions of this, everything is confusing.
That got lost in the sauce.
Well, also, who knows what's even true or a lie at this point? Or that maybe
she was going to kill him for being a creep. Like that she would wolf out or something.
Yeah, Scott Baio plays Scott Baio being a sleaze.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel nudge, nudge, wink, wink. It feels like he's authentically just being Scott Baio being a sleaze.
And that's what he's like.
It's very weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, we get this. My point about Christina Ricci and Jesse Eisenberg is that you get this weird double tone where it's like small town suburbia high school, but also like way Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like Jesse Jackson. What's his name?
Wait, who are you trying to think of?
Her boyfriend.
Oh, Joshua Jackson.
Jesse Jackson.
That'd be a
so her boyfriend,
movie.
Michael Jackson. I couldn't think of his name. Joshua Jackson from Dawson's Creek, another Kevin Williamson alumni, just like Portia de Rossi, both in Scream 2.
Yes, and he was an Urban Legend.
And he was an Urban Legend, which we just watched. All of these things.
I didn't realize he was going to be in this. I was like, look who's here.
Everything here should be making me feel a lot more safe than I feel.
No.
But so he is opening a nightclub that is a Universal Monsters.
And
Tinkle?
It doesn't make any sense.
It's called Tinkle?
It's called Tinsel.
Tinkle.
It should be
My new
Tinkle.
club. The hottest new club is Tinkle. Tinkle.
I don't know why it's called Tinsel when it's primarily like monster themed.
Tinseltown?
Yeah, I know, but like it's
ever heard of it?
It's mostly scary themed,
right.
And then
it's horror themed.
At one point, they crash through a wall, and there are some like divas. There's like a diva wax museum room, and I was like, Okay, so I guess it's just sort of a general kind of Planet Hollywood ripoff, but most of it is like Universal Monsters.
Yeah,
so
like a Lon Chaney Wolfman.
Why is this place called Tinsel?
I don't know. This irritated me. So one of the original
worst.
The reason why is because in some previously shot version of the movie, it wasn't a nightclub. It was just a wax museum. And so this was probably the horror part of the wax museum.
Well, it takes up about 90% of the wax museum.
Until you get to the weird diva table.
Diva section.
The diva section.
It's the worst branding.
This irritated me in the movie. At one point, there's a shot that's on a wax Lon Chaney old Wolfman, and then the camera very deliberately pans over, and you're expecting to see the new werewolf.
Okay.
But they pan over, and it's Christina Ricci and Jesse Eisenberg in the shot.
Not what I was expecting. It's not what I was expecting at all.
You compare the old and the new. That's what the shot should be, right?
No,
okay.
William.
All right.
William, your clip. At this point, a bad guy, a wolf, is looking for them.
We're getting dangerous.
By the way, I don't really think this.
We're getting dangerous.
But it's what I hoped in the moment.
Yeah.
Is like stalking them and looking for them, and it shows that Wolfman, and the way it showed is like, so one of them is disguised as the Wolfman right now. They're like hiding behind it.
Oh, you thought it was going to be like Scooby-Doo. Like
exactly.
It pans from like costumed wax sculpture to then Jesse Eisenberg dressed like Bela Lugosi.
Right, and then he's going to come out from behind it.
Trying to blend in.
Yeah.
That's
what it felt like.
This thing is a mess.
And then it just pans to them just like hiding behind some tall grass. And it was like, well, why'd you even show us the Wolfman?
Why'd you start on the Wolfman? It's because they've been doing this for years and years and years at this point, and everyone has lost the thread. It's fascinating. This
so
movie, now that I've seen it, I don't think about it in the same way. It doesn't give me quite a charge as much as this other thing I'm going to compare it to, but it doesn't feel completely dissimilar from Ghostbusters 2016 to me.
Okay.
Where I'm like, what happened?
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah, what went on?
Something's wrong. And it's almost as fascinating as me to watch a good movie as it is to watch a movie like this where you're like, ooh, wait, this shot of Christina Ricci, her hair is different from the shot before it and the shot after it. So that's probably from the original version of the movie.
Jesse Eisenberg's hair by the end is so long. And like, I don't know if
he's 45 at the end of the movie. He's 17 at the beginning.
Right.
You tell me what happened.
I wonder. I don't know if he was on another project and so they couldn't trim it to match everything else because it would mess up the other project. But I was like, this is ridiculous. It's so much more noticeable when your hair is short, when it grows out. But I was like, oh my God. And then there was a green screen scene with Judy Greer and Christina Ricci outside that was so obvious and so bad.
Oh, really?
I was like, this is a crazy movie.
This cast is unbelievable.
Yes.
Might I say?
Oh my God. Look, this might have been a bigger twist in the movie than Scott Baio playing himself. When Michael Rosenbaum showed up.
Oh my God.
Were you shocked? I was like, oh my God, this guy again.
I was having a flashback.
I can't believe it.
Michael Rosenbaum double feature here on Guide to the Unknown.
I know. He was in Urban Legend, and William and I both really did not enjoy him in that. Will more than me. But I was like, I can't believe I suggested something where he's in it again.
You know, he was fine.
He was fine.
In the context of playing Hollywood assistant man.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I couldn't tell if he thought he was Christina Ricci's boss or if he worked for her. Because he's
he was
very
a coworker.
Online it says that he's her assistant.
He was her assistant?
That's what it says online.
What? He's definitely... Oh, okay.
He's hitting on her, and he's kind of aggressive to her.
Yeah, I thought he was just kind of like on the same tier as her or something.
Online it said that he's her assistant.
Okay.
But she also... I don't know what her role is.
He was not as subordinate as I would prefer him to be.
I don't know what her role on the Craig Kilborn show is either.
I don't either.
This is a shame. This is like a tragedy...
You know
this is a tragedy.
It's absolute tragedy. Let's move into spoilers.
Can I just say about Craig Kilborn real quick?
Yeah.
All right. For those of you who don't know, Craig Kilborn was a man who used to exist. He was a comedian, and he'd be on TV still today.
What do you mean? He's out there somewhere.
Well, he's out there somewhere, but no one knows.
I don't know.
No one knows. No one's seen him. 35 years.
Maybe they have, for all we know. I don't know. Maybe he's got like a booming YouTube channel. I have no idea.
A boomer YouTube channel.
Maybe.
Craig Kilborn, I'm sorry, I was just kind of rude to you, but he was the original host of The Daily Show before Jon Stewart took over, and then it exploded.
Yeah, that's rough. It exploded like his head used to on The Daily Show. Remember there was that thing where there'd be like an exploding head?
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Weird.
Yeah.
And then he became the host of The Late Late Show after David Letterman. Mm-hmm. He was like the Conan O'Brien slot. And then he left that before this movie came out.
Yeah.
Oh. So in this movie, she's the assistant on the Craig Kilborn show, which wouldn't even exist by the time the movie came out. It
took forever.
Already dated by the time the movie came out. He was already gone, and he was replaced by Craig Ferguson.
Right.
Which then that became a very cult kind of show that took off. With that, Craig Kilborn is always there.
Yeah.
Before things get good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's in this movie.
He's the warm-up. He's the fluffer.
As the host of a show that he stopped hosting before the movie came out. That is so weird and unique.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so strange to me.
Yeah.
Craig Kilborn. Other people I just want to shout out who exist in this cast. You mentioned Judy Greer, who has a bigger role than anyone would ever expect by the end. Nick Offerman.
Yes.
Plays a bit role of like a cop who shows up at the scene of an accident.
Yep.
And we already mentioned Scott Baio, so I guess I'm done with that section.
Nick Offerman kind of looking like Wolverine because he
does. Yeah.
He has a beard with these like big chops, and he has kind of a flat top haircut, and it all just kind of adds up to sort of Wolverine effect.
You're totally right. Can I shout out the taglines? This is fine for spoiler free as well.
Yeah.
The one that's on the poster that I've seen is "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger," which is bad. I mean, fine. Next one is confusing to me. Have you ever felt like you're not human anymore?
What? That's a terrible tagline.
Why are they trying to relate that to some universal experience? Yeah. And then here's the third one that I don't know if was actually used or maybe it's just a mistake on IMDb, but it's sitting there.
Uh-huh.
The evolution of the species. I've never heard the singular form of the word species.
Neither.
The evolution of the species. Ooh, this is so spicy.
Does that even work? Is that a word?
Spicy, spicy meatball.
The evolution of the species.
The evolution.
That's really funny.
Of the species.
I actually do have some things for spoiler free now that I think about it. So here are some of the cast members that were cut from the movie who filmed stuff. Ileana Douglas, Heather Langenkamp, Scott Foley.
Oh, Roman Bridger.
Yes.
Director and brother.
Omar Epps.
Oh, wow.
In Scream 2. Robert Forster, James Brolin, and Corey Feldman.
Yeah.
And Skeet Ulrich was actually supposed to be a third lead originally. He was supposed to be Christina Ricci's love interest. But
did you see that Entertainment Tonight?
Yeah.
Or whatever, Access
it was
Hollywood.
Entertainment. Or maybe it was. I don't know.
One of those just like Hollywood Insider TV shows. They visited the set of Cursed when it used to star Skeet Ulrich.
Yeah.
And they like interviewed him on set. And then like that's just not the movie that came out at all. His character is totally eradicated.
Totally.
The entire premise changed 4 times. That's crazy. Jesse Eisenberg and Christina Ricci were not originally brother and sister. Originally there was like what?
Which makes sense. I found them to have odd energy.
The opposite of familial connection.
Yeah.
What's your history with Christina Ricci?
I love Christina Ricci.
Yeah, I like her quite a bit as well.
Great.
What's your history with Jesse Eisenberg?
Actually, it's not a history. Jesse Eisenberg is currently filming a movie like 5 minutes away from my house.
He's from around here?
I know.
He literally grew up down the street from Allie.
Yep.
They were in plays together.
Yep.
As children.
Yep.
I like Jesse Eisenberg quite a bit.
And also I like him.
I like him quite a bit.
But the local groups are a Twitter.
Oh, okay.
Because they're filming in Bambrook.
I had this thought about Jesse Eisenberg. No one knew it yet. But like he was so good in The Social Network.
Oh yeah.
As somebody who's simultaneously very intellectual and
smarmy.
Yeah, smarmy, but aggressive. He's got a similar quality to Sam Norton. What's his name? Ed Norton. Ed, don't laugh at me. Sam Norton is a completely acceptable name.
Of course. course it is.
It's just not anyone
I know.
you've heard about from any movie before.
I can't even think of who this might be. I mean, it ended up being closer to what you were talking about.
I was half right. Ed Norton.
I just
Sam Norton. Doesn't it just funny? One thing being off just sounds so alien.
Yes.
My favorite celebrity's got to be Sam Norton.
I didn't even have a guess, but I gotcha.
Ed Norton for like Fight Club.
Okay, yeah.
So like the ability to be
both meek and dorky, but then also aggressive.
That's perfect for a werewolf movie.
Yeah, it is. But he doesn't really display it here.
Well, because this movie's also supposed to be really funny. And his werewolf moments are, I guess, are they badass? Or, well, I'm dipping a toe into spoilers by talking about that at all.
Yeah.
All right, everybody.
Well, wait,
Kristen.
Wait, one more thing. Mandy Moore was actually also originally cast in this.
She shot it. She filmed it.
Exactly. And she even filmed scenes, but then she was replaced by Maya.
This is incredible.
Talk about the case of the X. That's a Maya song, and Mandy Moore was the X in this situation.
Is that, wait, in the Maya song, is Mandy Moore relevant? Or you're saying just in the case of the movie,
in the case of this movie, Mandy Moore is the X. She was the X Jenny. Okay. Maya, just in life, has a great song called The Case of the X.
Okay. I have to admit, I didn't know who this person was.
Oh, who Maya was?
Yeah.
Oh, great singer. That's all.
That's all. Okay.
She's in the Lady Marmalade remake, if that helps you.
She is?
Yeah. Itchy, itchy, yeah.
That song was unavoidable.
Yeah.
I couldn't get away from that song.
Of course. What else that's big? Ghetto Superstar.
Oh, I do know Maya.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, the Warren Beatty hit.
It's from Bulworth.
It's from Bulworth. Ghetto Superstar.
Bulworth. Okay. All right. Look. Okay. We're gonna do.
The show's a catastrophe too. Do you recommend Cursed?
Yes.
Woo! Woo! What a rush! Ooh, I feel like I've become high from that response, Kristen. You went to considered. You looked like a politician for a moment. Yes. That was crazy. On a dime, you switched. Woo! You recommend Cursed?
You know, yeah, give it a watch. Something to throw on. It's a weird movie. Yeah, it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun to watch.
Yeah.
What is this? You're like, what's going on here?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching it.
But is it an experience that I would recommend to another person to have?
I enjoyed watching it. I would.
I would not.
Okay.
I would not recommend Cursed.
Yeah.
It's just
fine.
Too big a pile of confusing crap. I'm personally intrigued.
It's good, but I would say it's a fun experience. It's not the best experience you're going to have, but I would say, yeah, why not?
Yeah, I find it intriguing, but I don't know that I could really recommend like, hey, you want some hours of your life that are going to be gone from you?
It's probably like 80 minutes long or something. It's not long. It's kind of fun. Yeah, why not?
You know what's funny? I read online that by the time that they were doing the fourth reshoot, everyone was wearing shirts that said, Cursed 4, back for more. They treated all the reshoots like they were making the sequels to their own movies.
That's funny.
A little bit, which is very, very funny. You
gotta do what you gotta do to get through it.
Judy Greer had some comment where she was like, Cursed, yeah, I don't know what happened there.
So
it took a long time, very fun.
Yeah.
Don't know what that was.
So did Christina Ricci and Jesse Eisenberg. They was like, I don't understand what happened with that. Like, I don't know.
I think it just boils down to Weinstein sort of toxicity.
Yeah.
You know? Fascinating. Cursed, everybody. Go get it or don't, depending on which one of us you want to listen to.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. We are going to talk about spoiler-free stuff, but first, let me give you a little spoiler about some things that you can do to just make life a little bit more fun.
Life spoilers.
Life hack. You can go to patreon.com/GTTUpod to get a second episode of Guides to the Unknown every week, because we have a second weekly podcast called The Netherworld Dispatch. It comes out every Monday, and if you join us on our Demon tier, then you get all of those episodes. We have other tiers where you can get episodes at different intervals. You can choose whatever works for you. And also through our Patreon, you get access to movie commentaries. You get access to our Discord. You get access to a newsletter. You get access to a monthly paranormal TV show podcast that Liz Sauer of Ghosts in the Burbs and I do. There's a ton of stuff over there. So go check out patreon.com/GTTUpod.
It is so much fun. Mm-hmm. It is alive.
Yes.
The most recent episode of the Netherworld Dispatch is episode 210, titled David Blaine is a Witch.
Yeah, this guy's up to stuff.
He is a witch. The David Blaine's a magician. He likes to push his body to do physically grotesque things and show it to people.
Right.
Is that magic or is it not? We discuss.
Yes, exactly.
So go check that out. That's episode 210. Now, we also did put on the Main Guide to the Unknown feed in the last week. We unlocked the vault to take a classic episode out of our archives from Patreon and display to the Guide to the Unknown listeners. So if you have not checked that out, we highly recommend that you do that. It could be easy to overlook because it was not a regular day release, but we took the episode Willie's Secret Creepy Folder, and we put that onto the Guide to the Unknown feed to give everyone a taste of some of the Patreon silliness that happens over there. So go check that out as well. Now, we love reading reviews. I've got a lovely one here for us from Rachel Cassandra 999, titled Great Podcast. Love the hosts, the chemistry, the stories, the conversations, literally everything about this podcast. They are both so hilarious, and it's a great escape when listening. Heart, heart, heart. Always a good time. 5 stars.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so nice. Thank you so much to Rachel. Thank you to everybody who leaves us reviews. It really means a lot to us. Like, I will be thinking about that later. So thank you very much. And if you haven't left us a review yet, we would love it if you did. You can leave us a written review like that on Apple Podcasts. You can leave us a starred review on Spotify or wherever else you listen. And any way that you share the show, we appreciate so much, whether it is sharing us on Insta stories, on other social media, just like texting an episode to your friends, whatever. It's awesome. And we would love it if you did it. And thank you to everybody who does.
Yes. Thank you all so much. The vibes are impeccable.
It's true. The vibes really are immaculate.
In the world of Guide to the Unknown.
Yeah. Everyone is so nice. Thank you so much.
It's bleeding into other projects. It's very lovely. So thank you all so much for your support.
Yes.
So we really especially hope that you enjoy, I don't know, like an ad for toothpaste or something. You ever heard of Quip? Maybe Quip is still...
Quip. Oh, yeah, that's right. Maybe.
Stamps.com. I don't know if they still exist.
Probably. I don't know. Let's find out. Okay, here come commercials. All right. I hope you love that soups.com ad. That's our favorite sponsor.
Soups to your door in a bag.
Okay. So here we go with spoilers. 3, 2, 1. She's an old woman.
She's not.
No.
Zero old women in this movie.
Yeah, I don't think there's an old woman to be found at all. Not even the psychic who tells them that the wolves are after you is an old woman. It's just Portia de Rossi.
What was with that? What was with Portia de Rossi in this movie?
Right, what's the point of her even being there?
Pointless.
It's so weird. And she shows up at the the Craig Kilborn show.
She was going to be on the Craig Kilborn show.
What a weird thing.
What a crazy movie.
It really is.
In getting into spoilers, I want to give a 5-sentence abbreviated, here's what happens in this movie. So Christina Ricci, Jesse Eisenberg, our brother and sister, they are present when there is a car crash. Shannon Elizabeth is dangling upside down in a car. They get her free, but she ends up getting bitten by a wolf and dragged off.
At one point, she is being dragged, and Jesse Eisenberg is holding onto her ankles, and Christina Ricci is holding onto Jesse Eisenberg's ankles.
I don't know if I've seen anything like this in a movie in the last 20 years. Yeah. It looked like it was filmed in so stop motion animation. Them being dragged through the grass, holding onto each other. It was herky jerky and choppy.
Yeah.
For how much money and time they spent on this movie. I don't know if you had a similar experience to this. I was exploding with rage. On my TV. The dialogue was like a whisper.
Oh my God.
And then the explosions were so goddamn loud. So I was riding the volume button the whole time. Molly the dog is flipping out because it's a werewolf movie.
Oh my God.
And I started cursing your name for picking this.
Well, get over it.
You did it to
Bucko. Me. I know. I was muting whenever dogs in the neighborhood came to their house and were barking at them. I was just turning all the way down. But no, in general, the sound mixing was horrible.
It looks horrible. It sounds horrible.
Doesn't look horrible. I enjoyed looking at those werewolves. I liked them. They looked bad, but I liked them.
They looked like some cross between like a baboon and a bear. That's how I felt. They looked like they were in a grizzly bear suit with some sort of a monkey face sometimes.
Yeah, I like that.
It's kind of interesting.
I like that.
Interesting take to have the wolf element really be tamped down.
Of wolf.
Yes. They took the term wolf pretty loosely.
Yeah.
Little artistic license on the word wolf. So Christina Ricci and Jesse Eisenberg get scratched and or bitten and are over the course
was not super clear.
Hyper
how
unclear.
They turned into like.
I thought they just got dragged through the brambles.
Me too.
I didn't see them get
bitten. And then all it takes is I don't think they get bitten. It's just a scratch. That's all you need. Certainly, I know I wrote it down. One of them is definitely just scratched. I think it's Jesse Eisenberg. And then I guess they're both just scratched.
I guess. So they are both undergoing a sort of Spider-Man transformation and realizing that they have increased powers and abilities and strength. Jesse Eisenberg applies that to high school situation where he's being bullied, but now he's stronger than the bullies.
And he gives himself a hair makeover.
Yeah, he gives himself like a shaggy.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know, just like PC all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Because he's cool now.
And Christina Ricci, and he starts researching werewolves, which gets a little more like Randy and Scream-ish, where he's like reading books about werewolves all the time and sharing folklore about werewolves, which there are a couple of things that I almost liked even about this cut. And it's like some of his stuff I actually did kind of enjoy. I found him to be occasionally very funny.
Yeah, he goes to a website called Werewolf Fact or Fiction as soon as they get home.
The moment they get home. I did like, though, that like on that website, I love to see an old website in a movie. I love that his computer was one of those old colorful boxy Macs.
I know.
Like Zoolander.
I would love to have that computer.
He has that.
I always wanted that.
The files are in the computer.
Yep.
But on the website he visits, it says there are thousands of unidentified animal attacks in the country. And I was like, what a great way to phrase that. Because it takes it into the realm of the plausible. Like you got attacked by an animal, but you didn't see what it was. So are we leaving room for the paranormal here, even though every one of those attacks could still be something mundane? I was like, that phraseology was right. Unidentified animal attacks. That was perfect for a werewolf movie and speculation. But he will get more matter of fact where he's like, you have to remove the head from the body. Yeah. You can't touch silver. Right. All that kind of stuff. Christina Ricci is just in this maelstrom. She's confused. She's like in a relationship with Jesse Jackson. Who is smoldering for a lot of the movie, especially by the end. Yeah. And in some sort of a contentious relationship with Judy Greer, who is a PR person for Scott Baio.
So
like the plot for Judy Greer is that she is the PR. She's like Scott Baio's agent. Yeah. Advocating for him to get a better slot on the Craig Kilborn show. Yeah. That's the conflict between her and Christina Ricci for 90% of it.
Right. Well, then, and also she used to date Joshua Jackson. And so she's like, I can't believe you're still even trying with that dog or whatever. You're like, he's slept with half the girls in this city.
He's a hound dog, a real wolf. Yeah. He's quite toothsome. Right. He looked at me like I was Little Red Riding Hood. Yeah. He ate his own granny. Like, how many ways can we hint that Joshua Jackson is a werewolf by the end of this movie?
Right. We got it.
But I never saw Judy Greer coming.
No, I didn't either.
That was a shock.
I didn't either.
And then when she turns into
she's the big bad.
That naked rubbery baboon creature by the end of this movie. That was pretty surprising to me too.
Yeah, me too.
Anyway, Maya gets eaten in an elevator. They don't show it. They literally cut to black over munching sounds. This is crazy. This movie's crazy.
Yeah, and it's framed like, honestly, I thought it was Christina Ricci who attacked her. I thought she wolfed out. Are you supposed to think that? Because Christina Ricci is annoyed that Joshua Jackson is talking to Maya at the Craig Kilborn event PETA party or whatever they're at. I guess it's not for Craig Kilborn. But anyway, Joshua Jackson was like kind of cooling off the relationship. And then they see each other at this party. And he's like, no, I want to be serious. Christina Ricci's like, okay, I don't know. We'll have to talk about it later. And then she's like kind of warming up to the idea. And then he sees her talking to Maya a lot. And she's annoyed. And she's like, oh yeah, this guy wants to get serious with me. Sure. But we see that he's talking to Maya, who's like, So you ditched Shannon Elizabeth, and she was heartbroken. And he's like, well, I'm committed to another now, or whatever. And he means Christina Ricci. But Christina Ricci doesn't know that. She just thinks that he might be hitting on Maya. And then the next thing we know, Maya is getting attacked by a werewolf in a parking garage. And we had just seen Christina Ricci like get into a car in the parking garage.
I see what you're saying. I think it's supposed to be a misdirect.
Yes. No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Are we supposed to think that it was Christina Ricci, though?
I think we're supposed to be holding space for the possibility.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Which I did.
Yeah. You appropriately held space?
Yeah, I held the space, and I held too much space. I thought that...
Confusingly,
they really got me is what I'm saying, and then I was kind of confused.
It's all confused. Well, because Christina Ricci will learn by the end.
I guess I thought it was cut and dry. I was like, oh, okay, I guess she's wolfed out.
Which that's
she's
traditional.
She's just factually wolfed out.
Is it?
And then I came to understand that she hadn't, and I was like, oh.
So here's ultimately how I kind of feel about like. Listen, I want to make it perfectly clear. Like, I really admire Kevin Williamson and Wes Craven.
Yeah.
And like, I view them as being like
brothers.
I put them above you. I put them above you, Kristen.
Well, don't love that.
No, I think that they I think Scream is almost like the pinnacle of that type of story. Of a whodunit slasher, of a fun horror thing. It like those quadrants of thing are like perfect to me.
Yes.
And so I greatly admire them, and I credit them with like really unlocking in my brain like what I want to do and the things that like I aspire to do. And that's why this movie I also view as just like, what the fuck happened?
Well, I think you have to remember, this isn't really them.
No, I know, but like it's like here's the other part of it is like the messiness of a studio and competing personalities and the Weinsteins as holding the cards and the guys who can say, here's what you're gonna do. Kevin Williamson described like getting just phone calls from Bob Weinstein.
Yeah.
And he's like, at this point, I'm not a writer anymore. I forget what he's like, I'm a typist, he said, or something. He's like, they just give me things to write.
Yeah.
And I am helpless but to say, okay. And so I'm just writing whatever he told me to write. And it's like, the shame of it is like, what is the job of a writer? Well, whatever. And I can go down that rabbit hole a little too much, I think. But my point is like Kevin Williamson and Wes Craven, I think, were at the end of their rope, logically, emotionally, and just exhausted by this process that eventually they both kind of pieced out.
Yeah.
And it's just hard for me to rectify the being like, at what point do you allow yourself to piece out for your own peace of mind? Or do you see it through because you're an artist? And you put up and you take all the lumps and you just try to do the best you can do.
But if they had literal rewrites. So there are things where it's at a certain point, it's
That's
completely
true. It's literally out of their hands. Yeah. But so what this movie sort of structurally ends up being, it's basically Scream. Someone's in a costume and killing people.
Yeah.
And it could be any one of these four people because we know Christina Ricci and Jesse Eisenberg have been bitten. So are they transforming? Are they fully transforming? Then, by the end, you can view it this way. You're supposed to, I think it's the siblings. But you know that there's this other werewolf out there that had killed Shannon Elizabeth. So is that the one that's doing all this stuff? Well, is that a wild animal or is it something that has a personal vendetta? Why would a wild animal chase someone through a parking garage and try to kill them in the elevator? You know what I mean? Like, so it's like you get all of these sort of like, this is where it's like the everybody's a suspect thing comes in, and now the werewolf just feels like a guy in a suit.
Right.
Especially by the time you get to the end and you realize that, again, we're in the spoilers, it's Judy Greer. It's Scott Baio's agent.
Right.
Is the primary antagonist of this movie. Yes. And Jesse Jackson is a werewolf.
Of course, she's going after people who Jesse Jackson has been with.
Yes.
Is the thing. Because she's obsessed with Jesse Jackson.
Yes, as we all are.
Yeah.
And
I think I made that quite clear during the Urban Legend episode.
She went
By
after
the way,
Maya.
Wait, spoiler alert for Dr. Odyssey, which I haven't seen. That's
Dr. Odyssey.
That's the show that Joshua Jackson is on.
Does he play like a cantankerous like magician? I'm Dr. Odyssey.
No, he's
flying around in a whirligig.
He plays a doctor on a cruise ship.
Okay.
I just found out, spoiler alert for Dr. Odyssey, which I will watch eventually. It's like a soap opera, I think. Don Johnson is also on it. Spoilers.
I like Don Johnson.
Me too. That's what I'm saying. Spoilers. he plays twins. It was just revealed. I think he's, and I could be wrong about this. I think he's going to someone's house and you're like, whose house is he going to? Knock, knock, knock. Who answers the door? Him.
There should be that.
That's great.
Then they're talking and you hear another knock at the door and they open it and it's another one of him. There should be an army of Dr. Odysseys.
That'd be great.
When we split our personality into 45 slices, who knew it would be this much fun?
I know. So they have a moment, Joshua Jackson and Judy Greer, where he's like, how did this happen? Like, how did you become a werewolf? And she's like, I guess there's no such thing as safe sex with a werewolf. Okay. We have established that he was born a werewolf. He says that to Christina Ricci. Yeah. And that he is like promiscuous around Hollywood. So does that mean he has made like 1 million werewolves who are just trolling LA?
How does she know that that's what?
Because it sounds like he didn't bite her or anything.
Yeah, but to your point, it's like, why isn't Maya a werewolf? So there's some difference between Maya and Judy Greer. She didn't. Okay.
No, she was saying like, like Shannon Elizabeth.
So really she took his virginity.
Judy Greer?
Yeah, perhaps. Because there are not an army of werewolves.
No, there might be, and we just haven't seen them. There may be just werewolves who aren't going after all of his other exes.
Right, the cursed verse. There could be an army of Joshua Jackson werewolves out there.
Yes! Because it seems like he slept with Shannon Elizabeth, but then Judy Greer killed her. For all we know, Shannon Elizabeth was a werewolf or something.
Right. This movie sucks.
Right. That doesn't make any sense. That's crazy.
I guess there's no such thing as safe sex with a werewolf is a line that's in this movie.
Right. And that's how she became a werewolf. And if they're like, oh yeah, he's going to break your heart. He's a dog. He's doing it all over town. That would mean that having sex with him turns you into and it means having sex with him turns you into a werewolf. Then these people are all werewolves.
All of them. Everyone's a werewolf.
If those things are both
it follows.
True. Yes,
werewolfism as an STD allegory. Yep. Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
Yeah.
If you explored that and didn't just have it be Judy Greer hulking out at the end of this movie.
Yeah.
Maybe I do recommend this movie.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's so stupid where this goes. They end up locked inside the nightclub with all the wax museum figures, and Judy
at
Greer
the opening, where also Lance Bass is playing himself
at Tinkle.
So now
Lance Bass is in this movie.
Yeah, so the opening of Tinkle, Lance Bass is there.
Wow,
he's on the red carpet. They're paparazzi taking pictures. They needed to establish that this is a big deal opening.
Yeah, the opening of Tinkle.
Yeah, that's right.
So Judy Greer is like, "Ha! I bet you're surprised that it's me." I'm like, yeah, I am surprised, Judy Greer, that it's you. And then she starts to like Hulk out a bit and ducks out of frame, and then a nude. This was an interesting choice to show the transformation. Like,
yeah.
Again, the meta of a werewolf movie is like, it's all about displaying the transformation. Like an American Werewolf in London is like top tier werewolf transformation stuff. Like you see it in gory detail. You see the hands stretching and
shiny and wet.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Not for me.
But you're telling me you like this shit?
Yeah, I would take watching
Judy Greer basically ducks out of frame. And then what looks like, I don't know anything about visual effects, admittedly, but what looks like stage one of putting together like an animated CGI person comes up with no hair on its body.
Yeah.
All hair is gone. So you are left with a skin tone nude, somewhere between a human and a bear.
Yeah, that bear baboon that
she becomes by the end of this movie, and not having hair on it. 2005 CGI, it just looks like it's made of rubber.
Yeah, totally.
It looks like they're holding a Stretch Armstrong in front of the lens and pretending it's a huge hulking monster. Like it looks horrible.
Yeah, and I like that.
And then they bring.
I like.
Is there a movie where people are being stalked by an unfinished graphic effect? Can we make that movie? That actually sounds awesome. Call it the Uncanny Valley.
Yeah.
You're being stalked, and the monster is an unfinished graphic effect.
Yeah.
And that's
I'd
the
be into
point.
that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a puppet when
Yeah.
it's behind stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't decide. It
popsicle
takes
stick.
different forms.
Yeah.
Unbelievable how this thing looks.
I know, it looks crazy.
Unbelievable how this thing looks. But so we start to discover that Christina Ricci and Jesse Eisenberg, yes, they've been scratched and or bitten or whatever, but they're at like, I guess there's some sort of a life cycle.
Yeah.
You get increased strength, increased sexual attraction.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess people are extra attracted to you.
Yes.
Jesse Eisenberg, Milo Ventimiglia, who exclusively hurls homophobic slurs at Jesse Eisenberg, so much that he even goes, I even think your dog's gay.
Yeah. Good one.
That's what he says in this movie. He goes, you bet your dog's gay too.
Yeah.
No, actually, I think he literally says, I even bet your dog's gay.
Yeah. I think you're probably right.
What would the logic of that be for a bully? You're a real bully in the real world. I bet your dog's... Why?
Just loser stuff.
I have a gay dog because you're saying I'm gay? Well, it turns out Milo Ventimiglia is gay and is covering up with it with all this bravado stuff.
Right.
Oh,
and then he's attracted to Jesse Eisenberg because of this magnetism of wolfiness or whatever.
Here's where I started to really like Jesse Eisenberg. He goes, no. I'm not gay. You're attracted to me because I'm a werewolf.
I know.
I was like, this is awesome.
It is also so risky to say to your bully.
He just says it. Oh my God. Yeah.
That is so risky.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
You may as well
dude?
tell him that you can go Super Saiyan. Do you have any idea what's at stake here?
Why in God's name would he tell Bo that he is, quote, cursed by the mark of the beast? That is such dangerous ammo.
You are so right. That is so dangerous.
Oh my God.
It's fascinating.
Even if he's being nice at that moment, don't you dare.
Don't do it.
Oh
Don't say it. Don't say it.
That was like the scariest part of the movie.
Yes. But then they're in the car together and Jesse Eisenberg goes like, be careful taking these turns up here because sometimes animals, they can jump.
Yeah.
It's like a very like Woody Allen-y sort of performance there, but it's like they literally almost hit a werewolf earlier in the movie.
Right.
And I really enjoyed that. It made me laugh.
I don't remember what it was. He also said he was funny in the car with something else. Like Milo Ventimiglia says something kind of hitting on him, whatever, and he's like, all right. Because he knows it's just like the wolfy magnetism.
The Kavorka.
Yeah, he's just got the Kavorka.
I liked him in this.
Yeah, I did too.
And I like Jesse Eisenberg. I would like to see him be evil.
I haven't seen him in many. Well, William, we've seen him be evil. Duh. Lex Luthor.
Oh God.
Where
he gives Holly Hunter that jar of urine.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like pissing in a jar and telling me it's sweet tea.
Does he say it like that?
She says it like that.
Oh,
and then
that
he
makes more
literally
sense.
pisses in a jar in a Superman movie.
Yeah.
And then she slowly in Congress turns a cup.
That's right.
That's labeled sweet tea.
Mm-hmm.
This is Eisenberg piss. That movie sucks.
Yeah, it does.
God damn it.
Yeah,
Do we have any excuse to talk about the Snyderverse on Guide to the Unknown?
I mean, I already mentioned. I just finished listening the other day to the 3-hour How Did This Get Made blank check crossover about. It was like as long as the movie.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to.
Would people accept this if we did a detour from scary stuff and just talked about Superman and Batman for a little while?
We'll see.
Anyway,
we have talked about the housewives, so.
Of course. So anyway, by the end of this movie, they're fighting Judy Greer. She flips them off as a werewolf.
Oh yeah, she flips him off as a werewolf because Christina. So she's hiding.
Trying to bait her.
Yeah, the cops have come in by this point because they've been alerted that there's an event happening.
Something's happening at Tinkle.
Something's happening at Tinkle, and Christina Ricci is describing the perpetrator or whatever, and she says she has a bony ass and fat thighs and bad skin, and then she pops out as the werewolf and in her wolf form yells, "Liar!"
Wait, she said a word?
Yes.
I did not detect the word.
She has talked before in werewolf form because I was like, werewolves can talk?
Where was I? I couldn't hear anything, I guess.
Probably.
Yeah.
And then flips the bird.
That flicks the bird. That sounds like something evil a werewolf would do in a Disney movie.
Yeah.
And then all the feathers are just left behind.
Totally.
The werewolf flicks the bird.
No, but she comes out and flips the bird.
That is shocking. So
liar.
Derek Mears, who's a pretty famous performer, he was in the suit as the wolf, and reportedly he improvised flicking the bird on this movie, and they kept it because it was movie 4. and everyone had given up. Yeah. At least it was. Listen, as stupid as that is, that's not the sin of this movie. I do understand. Once I saw it, I was like, oh, I've seen this. No. We didn't even say this at the top of the show. No one talks about this movie anymore.
Yeah, not a lot.
No one cares about this movie at all. Yeah. But when people do talk about it, I've heard them make fun of the flicking the bird werewolf moment.
Yeah.
That's the least of the problems. That's at least a shot at levity or something.
I think the last time I was on the Bloody Disgusting podcast with Xena, Real Queen of Horror, I think we briefly talked about it. But besides that, it's not coming up a lot.
So it's mostly you.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I'm carrying the torch of Cursed.
Yeah, the real dunce of horror. What's another royal thing?
I'm good with dunce.
The knave of horror.
Yeah, Xena can be the real queen. If she'll allow me to touch the hem of her garment, I'd be happy to be the real knave of horror.
Careful, don't say that to your bully either.
Xena's not my bully. She's my best friend.
I know. Okay, so the movie really concludes. They kill Judy Greer. The cops shoot Judy Greer.
Well, they kill Judy Greer, and also somehow in all of this, we have learned that if they kill the one who started the curse, then Jesse Eisenberg and Christina Ricci should be cured.
Fairly classic monster logic.
Right, so by killing Judy Greer, who was the one who scratched them, because she's the one who was back there killing Shannon and Elizabeth, then they're not going to have this curse anymore. So they're like, phew, we're fine.
It's vampire logic. Kill the head vampire.
Right. So they go back to their house.
For some reason, thinking it's done. They think that Judy Greer was the one. Mm-hmm. Well, this is confusing. Yeah, what? Is he their grandsire, or did he sire them? Here's... Sorry, I used some Buffy language, but I think
we're thinking the same.
We're thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
So they go home being like, well, we're free from the curse,
right?
Because Judy Greer is dead. But it turns out that Joshua Jackson is, I guess, the ultimate head of the snake, or whatever.
How far back must this go?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So, like, for that to make sense, he would need to be the one who attacked Shannon and Elizabeth and cursed them, because then he would directly be the person who made them werewolves in the Buffy language, sired them. Like, I'm the vampire who bit you.
Yeah.
But what the movies, I think, made the case was that because there's no such thing as safe sex with a werewolf, he made Judy Greer. And I think the movie is telling us that Judy Greer killed everybody.
Yes, it is.
And therefore is the one who scratched and or bit Christina Ricci and Jesse Eisenberg. Just scratched. And so she is their sire, but even when she's dead, they're still cursed because he's still out there. So you need to go to the grandpa. You have to go to the grandsire. You have to go 2 generations back.
But, like, why don't you have to go to his mom?
Yeah, exactly. Like, right, yeah, because he was born a wolfie.
Right.
Maybe she's already dead. Does it know that there's no further back you can go or something?
It's not explained, but, like, it just doesn't, because it's not explained, it's like, well, what?
What's happening? Anyway, well, here's what's really happening is because if you go online, you can find out that they realized that this movie did better if you had Jesse Jackson show up again and be villainous. There's a cut of this movie or some original idea where he's like, you have to kill me. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to kill me to be safe, and I'd rather you kill me and be safe.
Most of the movie is playing with this idea where it's like, oh, he seems like he's this kind of bad boy, like fuck boy who's gonna string her along, but then you, as an audience member, without, she doesn't get to see it, it's like, oh, he actually does want to commit to her. He's not really, like, bad. He kind of has a past, but then, like, it's this ambiguous thing, but then by the end, it's like all of a sudden he's, like, ultimate evil.
He is so evil at the end out of nowhere.
Right.
And I get it that you want to have a big final fight with a villain that's not a monster who can be baited by making fun of their hair.
Right.
And flicks the bird.
Yes.
So you want to have a big bad werewolf at home. Okay. All right. But he's just so evil. If he were like somehow losing more control or something, but he just goes so villain.
It's been his plan the entire time in some way, but it doesn't make any sense.
He's like, now it's just you.
Right.
You're the only one left. And you will be mine, Christina Ricci, and we will be the 2. And your brother, well, there's only room for 1 alpha male.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to kill that pathetic brother. Well,
yeah.
The siblings have to take down the ultimate werewolf, Joshua Jackson.
It's totally incongruous with everything else in the movie.
Now listen.
Yeah.
I thought he was looking like a snack.
Oh, yeah. See? Now you come to my side.
Totally.
Right?
You were right.
This guy
Joshua Jackson.
Is this guy not something?
Is he undervalued?
I would say that he's valued in a low-key way. He's not like the most famous dude ever, but like people love him.
I really like him. I really do.
Great.
I liked him quite a bit on Fringe.
Yeah.
I never watched Dawson's Creek. I don't know why. You'd think that I would have. I guess I needed horror.
Yeah.
But because it has the tone, it has a lot of the voice of early Scream.
Yep. It's crazy. I
it's
think
just too wholesome, maybe.
Yeah.
String lights. I assume there are string lights.
Hey, how dare you?
I like a string light.
You know my relationship to string lights.
Of course I do.
They're everywhere in my home.
Hey, I have them too. They're out there.
Yeah.
But something about them.
Yes, no,
in
I
a show context.
I completely understand.
In
what
Dawson's,
you're saying.
film.
In Dawson Leary's bedroom with
which is also
Steven
a film
Spielberg
studio.
Posters everywhere.
Yeah, it's just too cute.
I gotcha.
But I like Joshua Jackson quite a bit. I actually did get kind of a thrill seeing him be the bad guy here at the end of the movie, even though it felt nonsensical and out of left field. Mm-hmm. It did lead to some hilarity where Jesse Eisenberg is crawling on the ceiling.
Yeah, why can werewolves do this?
This is where I was like,
I was not aware of that.
Okay, this is Spider-Man logic.
Yeah.
It's like Tobey Maguire. Right, a wolf can't crawl on the ceiling. Right. You're right.
No, there's no reason for werewolves to be able to do that.
Well, but again, you're forgetting that you get bitten by a werewolf, you don't become a werewolf, you become a bear monkey.
That's true.
And monkeys are agile and can climb.
I don't know if a monkey could just climb
from a tree limb. It would need to have something.
Yeah. No, but it couldn't.
It could dangle?
It could not just climb on the ceiling right now.
No.
There was no reason for him to be able to do that.
It was horrible.
Yeah,
it was embarrassing. This I felt bad for Jesse Eisenberg.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this is the fourth time you've filmed this movie, and now they have you crawling on the ceiling, and it looks so comical.
Oh yeah,
it just looks so terrible.
It's so goofy.
But they end up getting the better of Joshua Jackson. They stab him with a sterling silver pie.
Yeah, that's left out because Jesse Eisenberg was going to kill their dog with it and eat it.
Wait a minute.
Remember he was sizing up there. Talk about looking at somebody like a snack. He was eating, I think, ham or something. No. He did eat ham earlier, but no, he was about to eat a raw steak, and then he was looking at the dog, and he's like, yeah. And then he opens up the drawer to get like a knife or something, and for some reason, instead of taking out a steak knife, he's like, instead, I think I'll use this cake server. And he takes out the cake server, but then he's like, ow. And then the dog Zipper runs away.
Everything you're saying is making both more and less sense than what I thought.
What did you think?
He has a steak. He's about to just take it out of the package and chew on it, Jesse Eisenberg. But the dog is looking at him.
Yeah.
I thought he was realizing like, from an external perspective, I look crazy.
Uh-huh.
So he got a plate.
Okay.
Then he was reaching for utensils. I'm going to be dignified and human. I will eat my raw steak with a knife and fork.
Yeah.
It didn't occur to me at that point that he was like, wait, there's a bigger steak, a dog. I'll eat my dog. That's what you think he was thinking?
Yeah.
Okay. It makes more sense to me than him being like, I better eat this with a knife and fork because my dog's watching me. But I was like, it didn't occur to me he'd want to eat his own dog. But here's where it starts to make less sense to me what you said.
Yeah, I know.
Why would you then be like, wait, knife and fork? That's way less useful than this antique pie server.
Absolutely.
I thought when he saw the pie server, because he was like, we're weak against silver. And Christina Ricci holds a picture frame.
Yeah.
And goes, this doesn't hurt. And it's supposed to be silver.
Right.
So that we're not. I thought he saw the pie server and was like, well, that's definitely silver.
Right, let me test it.
Let me forget about the steak, forget about the knife and fork, let me test it. And then realize that it was burning. I don't think he was like, I'm going to kill my dog with a pie. Well, you see what I'm saying? That's why what you said makes more and less sense than what I thought was happening.
But I think he was.
Why would you be like, I better eat this raw steak with a fork because my dog is looking at me funny? That doesn't make sense.
Right.
But why would you be like, I'm going to kill this dog with a more useful tool, a pie server? A pie
server. I don't know.
Anyway,
I don't know.
He then this was funny to me. This is just like this movie's something's wrong.
Yeah.
He like walks away and he comes back to the kitchen. The dog took the steak off the counter, but now the steak, a raw steak, has got some rubbery quality to it, right?
Yeah.
The dog is holding the corner of the steak and it's sticking straight out of its mouth because it's now a plastic steak, and it looks like nothing but a plastic steak.
Yeah.
And then the dog becomes a werewolf.
Yes. I know. Shocking.
And they have a chase scene where the werewolf dog is trying to kill Jesse Eisenberg, and it looks horrible.
Yeah, it looks terrible. Really bad. Really bad.
In Scream 3, they're going through Roman Bridger. Well, it's not Roman Bridger's castle. It's that man's castle.
Oh, yeah.
Milton.
Yeah.
John Milton's Pleasure Palace.
Right.
And there's a line that goes, "Ooh, Were Dad, I love that movie." They walk past a movie poster of Were Dad, half dad, half wolf.
Huh. I wonder if that's where this all started.
That's probably the nascent beginnings of Cursed.
Oh my God.
I don't know, man.
Oh my
Listen,
God.
This movie sucks.
Yeah, but it's also good.
You think so?
Yeah, no, I think it's a good watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I enjoyed watching
I enjoyed myself.
Joshua Jackson go goblin mode.
That's not goblin mode.
What's goblin mode?
Goblin mode is like being in your bed, like all holed up with like chips all around you and stuff.
That's going goblin mode?
Yeah.
Oh, I've done that.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, okay.
I would love to go goblin mode with Joshua Jackson.
What do you want to watch now, Joshua Jackson?
It sounds great.
I don't know. Hand me the chips, though.
Yeah.
Cursed.
Yes.
A truly cursed film. People have reportedly, in the Snyder Cut fashion, they've called for the Craven cut of this movie.
And it's apparently not to be found.
It is not to be found. It was never completed to begin with. Yeah. Patrick Lussier, the editor, said, like, yeah, they shot 90% of it. I have it. Right. He has all the cuts.
Yeah.
It's like, but not one of them is actually complete. You can't finish it.
Yeah.
I'd still be curious to see.
Oh, I would love to.
The closest you can get, I think, is reading that Kevin Williamson script. It's online. I found it enjoyable.
If I can see that goddamn jitterbug scene from The Wizard of Oz,
right? Yeah.
Why can't I see a little piece?
Hold out hope. Show me a sliver.
The Craven cut of
Give me a piece of the Craven
cut of Cursed. Yes. Yeah. All right. Well, we hope you enjoyed that as much as we enjoyed Cursed, or even more, possibly. And we will be back next week to talk about something else. So thank you so much for hanging out with us. As we said, you can go to patreon.com/GTTUpod to get tons more. We've got like a million other shows over there. You can also follow us on social media. We are at GTTUpod. And we are also there individually. I am at Chillin' Kristen.
I am at The Myth Traveler. So come on back next week, y'all. But until that time comes, we must travel.
Back to the netherworld, go we. Here we go.
Stray observation that has no place. Okay. The movie is called Cursed.
Yeah.
Sounds like it was always meant to be called Cursed. Obviously, there's some amusing irony in the fact that the movie is a big pile of crap.
Yes.
Was meddled with, was stolen, whatever, and so it's called Cursed, and it is cursed. It's not dissimilar to me from the Kevin Smith movie Cop Out, which was a production that was incredibly troubled, so much so that Kevin Smith was like, screw it. He wanted to call it A Couple of Dicks. It was about detectives, but they're also assholes.
Right.
Couple of Dicks. They couldn't use that title, so he was like, call it Cop Out. It's about cops, but also this sucks, so it's a cop out.
Right.
And it's like almost like tanking your movie to salvage your own personal reputation or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, acknowledging that it sucks.
Also, the Weinstein connection of it all. Now, I don't know if I don't think Cop Out was a Weinstein movie, but I think about Kevin Smith.
He worked with Dimension a lot.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's something there.
Yeah, true.
Catastrophes all around. Congratulations.